Hey everybody, okay, so as promised, we are doing a tour of our haunted cemeteries in Ringgold, Georgia. And right now we are at Anderson Cemetery, which is the main cemetery. It is divided into two parts. You have the historical old part where the Civil War soldiers and people, have been buried. And then you have the new part for newer people. So while I'm here, I'm actually going to go visit my uncle's grave. He passed away a couple years ago, but we're going to go ahead and go through the old part first and flip it around. Now, as you can see, there's not a whole lot here. You'll see a lot of stones, especially, let's go up here, let's walk up this hill with the name Anderson. Again, this is the Anderson Cemetery. If you remember in my last video where we went around doing the haunted tour of different locations, you will remember the Whitman Anderson house. Okay, so Anderson, and here's Anderson, is a very popular, there's another Anderson, a very, very popular family, one of the founding families of this area. Here you have Cornelia Anderson, who passed away in 1904. She was a Hackett. And you have an infant son, that's so sad. Anytime I see an infant's grave, it's just really, really, really sad. But furthermore, if you go, you're going to find stones like this that don't have inscription on them. Now these are, from what I understand, Civil War monuments where soldiers were buried, because there's no inscription on either side, as you can see. No inscription whatsoever. Now during the day, it's just your standard cemetery, obviously. Of course, this is the Anderson area, J.R. Anderson, 1823 to 1895. But it just looks like your standard cemetery. But, and see, you got more markers that don't have anything. I'm trying to stay off the graves. Y'all do know that whenever you're walking through a cemetery, never walk on somebody's grave. It is truly disrespectful. Their grave marker is missing, but this is a grave. But the marker is missing, probably because it has been so old. But during the day, like I said, this is just a standard cemetery. Looks like an old, creepy cemetery. But at night, there are stories surrounding Anderson Cemetery, especially over here on the old side where you have your older graves. There are reports, and as you can tell, there are also some, well, I'm not going to show them, but there are houses around here too.
Covered up.
What is it?
Marker.
Oh, that was an old marker probably that got covered up. This it gets upkept some, but anyway, at night there have been reports of apparitions, usually of these soldiers. And see, you have some that are worn so bad that have had inscriptions. But there are reports of the apparitions of the soldiers walking through the cemetery looking for the battle that they had been in. There are also reports of wailing and crying of women. And as you can see, we have seen some places, some graves of, women and infant children. So, the consensus is it could be the mothers looking for their children. Here's a busted tombstone. That is so sad, y'all. That is just so sad. And down here you've got some older ones. We're not going to walk all the way by the road. But, you have reports of wailing from women possibly looking for their infants that are also buried here. Or, looking for their husbands who had fallen in battle, their sons, all of that. Here's one that was born in the British West Indies and died in 1907. Sorry, was born in 1878. You have these wrought iron gates. You know, you have the wailings. You have just all sorts of noises. There's also been reports of gunfire. Now, I don't believe that this area, well, now it may have. I'm not going to say no, because we did have a Battle of Ringgold, but that was more up towards the depot. So I'm not going to say that's what it is, but there have been reports of musket fire that they believe could have possibly, so let's see, somebody's put a Confederate flag. So here's one who was a Confederate soldier. So it is quite possible there was fighting on this land before it became a cemetery, because the cemetery, again, was not put into use until Civil War, shortly after. You have Emma right here, who has unfortunately no last name. That's just, but here's all your older ones. I mean, this is the older part, like I was saying. So yeah, with the moanings, the wailings, here's another infant, so sad. Made it one day and didn't even have a name. That is so sad. You know, and then the sights of the soldiers walking around. I don't know at what point. I believe it was the 1920s when they stopped burying over here in the old part and opened up the new part. I'm not sure why. I don't know if they ran out of room, because if you look over there off in the distance, you can see the new parts. I mean, this is a really large cemetery. So yeah, you can see the new parts. Here are I.R. and M.F. Job, born in 1821 and 1837, died 1888, 1894. William Job, which would most likely be their son. Right here, you have, looks like two unmarked graves with the pylons. This would have most likely been probably from the war, and probably a quick burial. These are unmarked. These were their version of crypts.
Looks like redneck style.
No, not redneck style. That was quickest way to get somebody in the ground.
I mean, nowadays it's...
Yeah, quickest way to get somebody in the ground.
I mean, nowadays it's redneck.
Again, and you'll see scattered throughout the old place, the old wrought iron gates. And unfortunately, these stones are gone. I don't know if they've crumbled. There are bodies in these gates. But this is Brian, the last name Brian. There's a small stone. Most of the stones have crumbled from age, unfortunately. Some have been replaced. I can tell that some families have come in and replaced old stones. But most of them are worn and crumbling. From what I understand and from what I've seen at night, this is a very spooky part of the cemetery. This is almost reminiscent of the parts you would see in movies. And there's one that's broken. There's another one over here that's broken. As you can see, there are a lot of Andersons. And they are the ones that created the cemetery. Old ones. So yeah, this is the extent of the old part of the cemetery. Like I said, not very large. It is a pretty small area. the new part is massive. Of course, you know, this was a little farming town. When it was incorporated, you didn't have a huge population. It was a smaller population, so you're not going to have a lot. But now here are some above grounds. And these are not hastily made, so these would be more planned. Probably natural causes, I would say. And you have your footstones down here. So, you know, I like how they used to do it where you had your head and your footstones. This one is very overgrown. Here's a very old one. Very overgrown in a rock wall. Let's see. I would not get into that. That is ivy. And there may be, well, it's not time for poison ivy, but there's probably some things in there that you don't want to deal with. But I am going to try. Okay, I'm going to try to look. We're going to be nosy, y'all. Oh, I scared a bird. My bad, birdie.
Here's the names, I believe.
No, these are not the names. These are graves.
Husband.
This is the grave for this one. I don't see another gravestone behind this, but there is a grave back here. And this is like old. Look how overgrown that is, y'all. Mary Ann. Or something, yeah.
And then
Inman.
July 31st.
I don't know. I ain't gonna lie. I wouldn't mind if my grave ended up looking like that, because I think it kind of looks, I don't know. I just like the look of ivy. I'm not gonna lie. I would not be mad if mine ended up looking like that, overgrown. I'm not gonna lie. Oh, there's Mr. and Mrs. J.O. Harris, the infant son of Mr. and Mrs. J.O. Harris. Justin, do not ask. I don't know if it's relation. There's Essie Rhodes.
Oh, it's not. 1946.
And that's beautiful. I like that cross.
I know. August 9th.
There's Harris over there. Sorry, y'all. That's my maiden name. I was a Harris. So I see Harris's, but my line was from Rutherford, Tennessee, and moved up into Oklahoma. It was my dad's. But considering that Rutherford, Tennessee is not very far from here, it is quite the probability. So I'm going to go look at some names. Mary J. And I can't read that other one. Alexander.
Yeah.
I think that says Alexander.
Alexander.
Yeah.
Here.
Look at that, y'all. This would be an infant grave. Again. So sad. I have a hard time sometimes with infant graves. And I just feel the loss so deeply for the parents, even though the parents are gone. Because back in 2000, I had a stillborn child. So yeah, I really I see these infant graves, and it kind of gets to me sometimes, because you know it reminds me about others who have gone through the same loss as I have, and then come to find out later on, after mine happened, that my grandmother had gone through one too before my dad was born. So here's Nathan Anderson. This is the main dude himself. That was the broken one. That is sad. They need to fix this. This is the main dude himself, Nathan Anderson. He was 75 years old when he passed. Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is the main dude himself. This is Nathan Anderson. This is his cemetery. And Whitman Anderson is his family home.
I think they need to upkeep this part.
Yeah, well, they've got a fund. They've got a fund, but it's kind of hard to do. You know, the families, I think, or the county need to come in maybe and fix some of these headstones, definitely. Yeah, unfortunately, we do have damaged headstones. Some of them have been damaged over age. Others have been damaged from the tornado that came through. Oddly, we did have a tornado that came through that damaged some of them as well. What was that, 2011?
Yeah, my 8th grade year middle school.
Back in 2011. So, that's why we have a Nathan Anderson fund. I think it's a cleanup fund and an upkeep fund. So, alright, we're going to go ahead. We're going to leave the Anderson Cemetery, because as you can see, like I said, it's small. Most of the little cemeteries we're going to show are small, but they do have a haunted history. The next one we're going to go to is Citizens Cemetery. Citizens Cemetery has a very, very interesting history. And I'll also tell you the one that is attributed to it, but is not proven. But yeah, in Anderson, you know, big Civil War area. You know, this part is mostly Civil War soldiers, their families. Throughout the years, like I said, 1920s, 1930s, they quit using this part of the cemetery. But reports are still ongoing. And as you can see, we even have a hotel over here. And I have actually gone onto that hotel's Yelp or their review sites and seen where people have mentioned hearing ungodly noises from the cemetery.
Even that empty land right there.
Yeah.
There used to be a hotel.
Yeah, there used to be a hotel right here.
Here.
They tore it down. Yeah, people. Okay, Justin, calm down. Justin's trying to take it over, y'all. But yeah, there used to be a hotel right here, and yeah, they used to talk about the noises and seeing people late at night in the cemetery. So one last look at Anderson, the old part of Anderson. Tell the ghosts bye. Don't know if they're out during the day. They may be sleeping. They may be like vampires. I don't know. But we're going to say bye to the ghosts for right now. And we're going to go visit the ones at Citizens, which is another old one. Sorry, you get a close-up of my car, y'all. So anyway, I will be back at Citizens. Me and Justin will. I'm going to go up here. I'm going to visit my uncle real quick, and I'll be right back. Love you.
Hey, don't forget about the toy maker.
Okay. All right, y'all. We're back. We're at Citizens Cemetery, getting out of the car. Oh, let me grab my keys because that could end badly. All right. Okay, Citizens Cemetery. Now, Citizens Cemetery is also a very, very old cemetery, as you can tell. Remember, we are in a Civil War town, so a lot of these graves are going to be that time period. This particular cemetery is no longer in use is that a beaver? Y'all look. I just scared a beaver. Look at that.
Where?
Over there. It's going through. I just scared a beaver. Y'all, dude, I don't know if you saw that, but I seen something running. I was like, what the heck? It's a big old beaver.
Hey,
because there's a creek nearby.
Here.
There's a creek nearby. I just scared a beaver. That was hilarious. You go into a graveyard and you find a beaver. Love it. Okay, anyway. Back to the story at hand. That was a bit unnerving, y'all, and my heart was just a little bit pitter-patter, but I seen it running and realized what it was. So, yeah, that's funny. Anyway. Okay, so this cemetery, anyway, like I was saying, is no longer in use. They do not hold burials here any longer. Before Nathan Anderson Cemetery, or around the time of Nathan Anderson Cemetery, this was also one of the cemeteries that was in use for the early history of Ringgold, Georgia. Now, there are a couple good stories, and once we get to the graves, I'm going to tell you these stories. And then there's one, look at those are so old. And yes, we are in a neighborhood, so I'm trying very, very hard not to get houses in the picture. There is a house over here that I actually used to have a patient at too, so, of course she's passed. Got your broken headstones, of course. Now this graveyard, and you're probably going to hear sirens, because there is, fire department up from us. We're just down the road from the depot. And see, these are old. There's Dr. Hackett. You know, here's the Hackett's. You can see, you'll see a lot of the Confederate flags around here. Because again, we are in the South. We were part of the Confederacy. So you are going to find those flags just about everywhere in this cemetery. And as you can see, if you look across the road, we have our American flags up. Now, we do this every year. For Veterans Day, Memorial Day, and Labor Day, they put up the flags. And my grandfather actually has his flag from World War II. And they line the streets going all the way into Ringgold, downtown Ringgold. My grandfather's is actually up from World War II. And then there is my uncle's dad. His is up as well. You see, this is old. There's Fowler's. Oh, big old anthill. We're not going to deal with that. Somebody stuck a stick in it. That was cute. Here's the Fowler family. This was Reverend Drury Fowler, who was born in 1798, died in 1867. He was the first pastor of Ringgold United Methodist Church in 1845 to 1858. And his wife, Nancy Ann Waters Fowler, who was born in 1793, 1860. So this is probably one of the oldest graves we have, y'all. It's right here at Citizens. All right, so we're going to go ahead and go over here. Here are some Confederate soldier ones over here. What are you doing? Oh, he's texting Katie. He's supposed to be with me. Try not to show these houses. Sorry, y'all. Okay, so right here, these are stones that are maintained by the state and by the Sons of the Confederacy. These are stones of Confederate soldiers. And yes, they do look new because, again, as you can see, you've got the placard. They are maintained by the Sons of the Confederacy. And these were Confederate soldiers. All right, so let's go over here. Here's where the story comes in. This is a very odd looking area. Why is this an odd looking area? This is the Evans family. Okay, so the Evans family died in the 1800s, late 1800s. You can see you have 1889, 82, and all that. And they are actually buried in the same plot. This family is buried in the same plot. And I don't know if that was their wishes or if that was because they lacked funds for separate plots. I don't know the exact story behind that. I don't think anybody really does. But like I said, these are the Evans family, and they are in the same plot. And they just kind of stacked the tombstones up against each other. Now, the Evans family is said to haunt this cemetery, especially this area right here, and up going towards the road, to just kind of meander and wander like they're still in domestic bliss within the cemetery. And they are said to be seen going back to their mass grave at daybreak. I just walked behind this one, so here's another Confederate one. Now, this one's a little bit aged, probably needs cleaned. But, of course, here's another one that is maintained by the Sons of the Confederacy.
To answer your question, Mom, that was their wishes because that was on the ghost tour.
Okay, so it was their wishes? Okay, evidently it was their wishes. Now, that gate has seen a lot of damage. So a tree fell through that gate, y'all. If you wonder what happened to this wrought iron gate, a tree fell through it during a really bad storm. So yeah, it looks like it has seen better days. This poor old gate. Yeah, it was, but it wasn't the tornado that we had that I talk about. Yeah, so you can see we have, here's another old one from the Revolutionary War. Henry Emerson, who died in 1847, fought in the Revolutionary War. And there's his wife, Mary Armstrong, with him. He was born in 1763. So that, I think that may be the oldest one we have. I ain't gonna lie. Maybe the oldest one. Okay, so you have, again, you can see this one over here. There's the rest of the tree that actually fell through everything. You can see it messed up this one as well. Here is the stump. This is the tree that did the damage, y'all. It fell, but it was also growing through this gate right here. So the stone is gone. Of course, the person's still buried there. Of course, here's one too where the stone is gone. You can see the remnants of the stone right there where the stone is gone. Okay, now over here, we're going to go through this one, but this is not a verified legend. This is a legend. It's just not verified. Okay, so this right here is the grave of wasn't a young woman?
Toy maker, young woman, yeah.
Okay, it's either a young woman or it is a gentleman they called the toy maker.
It was a young woman that Joy was talking about.
Okay, it was a young woman, and as you see, they put little toys up here. Okay, now the legend has it that this toy maker was not a good person. This is not a feel-good, you know, these kids are great kind of deal. I just really like kids. This man was supposedly an unaliver. He supposedly would lure children. He was a toy maker in town, would lure children, and yeah, unalive them. So that is the legend behind it. Now this is just a legend. There is no proof of the toy maker murders. There is no proof of the toy maker in Ringgold, Georgia. But they do, because of the legend, still come over here and put toys on this grave. Now, if you want to see most of the proof towards this grave is not a man, is actually a young woman. And she is buried out here with most of her family. And this tree right here, she wanted to be buried under the tree, and its roots started taking up her crypt. And you can see the crypt is kind of open. We're not going to look in it though, because this is not that kind of video.
Yeah, keep it PG.
But there's the one growing through. See how bad that grew through that gate? That is crazy, y'all. And we got some wasps out here, dude, and hornets and all that. And here's some more of the old graves. Citizens Cemetery, like I said, not in use anymore. They do not bury anybody. Here's another crypt. I don't know who this is. There is no engraving. But you have a couple of above grounds. And then you have a couple of graves over in the corners of old graves. Let's actually go over here. I want to see how old they are. But you can see Citizen Cemetery is a really, really, really small cemetery. I don't know why they quit using it. I really don't. They just quit, probably to go over to Anderson Cemetery. Okay, this is 1908. This one almost looks like a fairy circle with rocks, like somebody tried to make one. I don't know the story behind this one, but this is just a lot of your bricks and stuff. I don't even know if that's a grave. That looks like it actually may be where somebody marked a child's grave, to be fair. That's what that looks like, is maybe a child's grave. Because back then, when babies were born or children passed away, they didn't usually get markers all the time. I know what that one is.
That little grave over there?
Yeah.
Born 1910, died in 1938.
Yeah.
God.
So, yeah, usually when they had graves like that, it was a child, probably a baby. Babies normally, almost always, in the early days, born to poor families, did not get a headstone. They did get some kind of marker, and it would usually be surrounded with rocks. So that's what I'm thinking that grave was. But as you can tell, nobody has been buried here since the Edwardian period, the early 1900s. Well, no, I take it back. That one back there, I think, was 1920s. But yeah, people do not get buried here in Citizens anymore. And it does look like, according to these dates, this one was before Anderson was built. Unfortunately, people are dropping garbage in here because I'm seeing pieces of garbage and it's really ticking me off. And I'm about to make Justin go with me and go clean it up. I ain't even lying. Look at all that. You see all that, the candy wrappers and stuff?
What is the city?
Coke cans? That just pisses me off. Have some respect, dude. Anyway, those are our main cemeteries, y'all. I said Ringgold's a small town, but both our cemeteries are haunted. And I did get to see my uncle's grave. Had to find it. It's the first time I've actually gone to it since he passed away. So we did find it over in Anderson, along with his parents, who I call Ma and Pa. So if you ever hear me say Ma and Pa, that's who we're talking about, is Ma and Pa, because they treated me like their grand. So we're going to get back in the car. Yeah, so it's not a lot, which is fine. It is, it's our cemeteries. This is the town I live in. Small town. You know, when I said cemetery tour, it was kind of a joke that I got. I'm pretty sure Dawn got. Figured y'all would get it after we did the video. The tour. 2 whole places. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Next video I do will probably be thrifting at Providence thrift store. There's some things I want to look for. So I'll take y'all into Fort Oglethorpe at some point. I don't know when. And then I do have planned to go to the Chickamauga battlefield. That one's actually huge. We're probably not going to walk the whole thing, but I do want to focus on the tower and the bridge. So anyway, y'all, hope you enjoyed the video. There's our ghost stories. I think the one about the toy box killer is the one that freaks people out the most. Unfortunately, there's no record on that, and evidence, like I said, points to that grave being a young woman and not an old toy maker. But the legend continues to go on, just like many legends around here and around the foothills of the Appalachians and the Smokies. So anyway, I hope y'all have a great day, and I will see you later. I'll probably be live soon. So anyway, love, hugs, mushy stuff. Love you. Bye.